got this very unique name, and very often when people come to meet me, they are like, are they going to anticipate meeting a girl or a boy? And when they see me, they are hugely disappointed, right? All right, so I always wanted to be a space research engineer. Yeah, I mean, I'm not kidding, it's serious. Yeah, so I kind of maneuvered my engineering program in a manner that I landed up at IIT Samir, which is the Advanced Center for Research in Electronics, and then started to work with the India Defense to help them in terms of make your packet so small that encrypting and decrypting, once you do it, for your enemies to really do anything with that is next to impossible. And I was like really, really happy about what I'm doing. And as I was going along, 8 months into what I was doing, I suddenly found that I'm not good at research. It wasn't me finding out, it was my guide telling me, hey, MINO, you're not good at research, right? So the penny dropped. That was my come to Jesus moment. Each one of us out here will have a penny drop moment. Agree? You all have your come to Jesus moment. As individuals, as families, as communities, as a country, we all come to a moment when we realize, hey, you know what? Something just happened. And that's what COVID did to each one of us. The last 2 years, all of us started to reinvent the way we did things, right? I mean, when I look at Adobe, all of us really love to have our folks come down to office, and we are proud about it. Our offices have mountain climbing. Our offices have great food. Our offices have great collaboration places. And when COVID hit us, we were like, I mean, how is this going to work? It just does not seem like a place from where it could work. From there, we discovered that people could be virtual and still create products that are just amazing. We realized that people could collaborate from where they are virtually and still do something fabulous. When it comes to interviewing, we have a concept called grab. Like, we interview. We get to a point of finding a good candidate. We are like, hold on, let's find somebody who is a grab. Like, you don't want to lose that person, right? So you might go through like 35 rounds of interviews, and then you're like, hey, still wait. And we do a lot of face-to-face interviews. Sometimes our guys used to come to the office, the candidates, and wait for 2 days and get interviewed and then go, right? When it became virtual, the question was, how is Adobe like company going to still maneuver through this? We said, let's go virtual. That's an option. That's the only option we had. And now when I have options to go back to maybe even physical interviewing, I'm very clear, no, we still stay virtual. So there's been a lot of change, right? In terms of our learning programs, we are completely digital. We are completely in terms of how do you really give virtual learning to our folks using Adobe or otherwise, but ensuring everyone is learning. What am I trying to tell here? I'm trying to get each one of you in this room, I don't know what capacity you are at. Are you the one making a call at an HR level? Are you the one who is a part of a team that's going to make a call? Do you think your voice is heard? Do you think your voice is not heard? What I'm going to try and let you know is, the cat's on the wall, right? You have an option to jump back where you were or leap forward to something that's beautiful. And the call's made by each one of you sitting out here. I like what I hear when we say, content is king, but context is the kingdom, right? Text out of context is a pretext. What is the context we are in right now? There's hyper-digitization. I'm a data guy, I'm an engineer. Right from my start of my career till now, I've always seen businesses' appetite for data is always greater than HR's facility or the ability to give them data. Agree? And now I find that the chasm is so high that the gap's really, really even more higher. The context, I want to try and bring it in 2 ways. I love parts of speech, so the noun and the verb. The noun. The first thing is, as HR professionals, we got to start thinking our scope is different. Our scope's not just about our employees, but people outside in the marketplace. What's the value that you create? The value that you create is value in terms of placing your company as a company that people want to be a part of because it wins in the market space. What's the experience you deliver? One of my prime reasons why I joined Adobe was because we are called the Employee Experience Leadership Team. And I was like, that sounds damn crazy, right? Because you call yourself as a part of employee experience. Are you placing experience at the throne and not on the scaffold? I think this is a question that each one of us needs to ask ourselves. What is your experience that you're rendering? Is your experience similar to an experience that probably they're finding on social media? In terms of tools that they use, are you thinking about it? The verbs, what are things that you got to start thinking? The first verb to think about is collaboration. Are we just collaborative enough? I was telling Guru some time back, we are thinking about, now we are hybrid, people come 2 days a week to office. What's my conversation density or what's my collaboration density on the days people come to work, right? We don't want people to come to work, sit on a seat, go back home. They could do that at home as well, right? How are they collaborating? Can you measure? Can you create frameworks to make that happen better, right? Are you willing to use the verb of making those conversations which are uncomfortable? And I keep on telling to my team, if your conversation is smooth, if your conversation is comfortable, it's not the right conversation, right? So when you make conversations that are uncomfortable, that's where you start to grow. As an HR, are you willing to use the verb of uncomfortable conversation making, right? That's the next verb that each one of us should really look at. Are we digitizing? Right? And there is serious value in digitizing because you have digital natives who are applying to you, who are working with you, who are your alumni, your customers are digital as well. If you are not digital, you're going to be completely obsolete, right? So where is that whole process of digitization coming into what you do? I don't know if you read poems, but there's this whole poem called The Road to Mandalay, and in that there is a whole saying about the temple bells are calling. And for us, it's that time when we start to look at that opportune time. You have a passage of time, which is chronos, and you have an opportune time, which is kairos. I believe each one of us are at a point of time when it's the opportune time. Don't let that momentum that happened because of COVID die because of your reluctance to make an uncomfortable conversation. Because when you make that uncomfortable conversation, and if you're able to lace that uncomfortable conversation with data, with ROI, and speak a language that business understands, you're actually going to help that enterprise be set up for success. And like I say, pride without is pride within. When you see your company do well outside, your people within feels great about the company. Agree? A lot of times we start thinking, what do I do for my internal employees? How could I make them happy? What can I do to make them proud? But the fact of the matter is, if your company is not winning in the marketplace, there's no chance that your company is really going to be doing well in terms of employee satisfaction. So I want to leave this thought in terms of, are you willing to make that conversation? Are you willing to continue that inertia that was picked up? And are you going to look at certain areas like, how are you increasing efficiencies? How are you moving at scale? How are you questioning status quos? And how are you making those uncomfortable conversations? With that, I want to invite Guru. Guru is going to help you in terms of run through case studies, selfishly Adobe, and help you realize in terms of how you could realize value. We are not just creative, we are not just loved by photographers, but we are also loved by HR, right? You would start to discover that. So he's going to help you run through that. Happy to take any questions down the line, yeah? Thank you. Over to you, Guru.
Thanks, MINO. And good afternoon, everyone. Strangely enough, just while I was at the stall earlier, a lot of people I noticed coming up to me and coming up to us and asking, what is Adobe doing here? A lot of people don't realize that Adobe does a lot more than just Photoshop and PDF. And I'm just going to give you a glimpse of what all we've been doing. Before that, just adding to what MINO said, human capital management has changed. This is just what he spoke about. the candidate experience, the behavioral change that we're noticing with many employees are they want to work in different ways. As Mino mentioned, COVID changed a lot of behaviors for a lot of people. And so you need to adhere to that. You need to also be collaborative. And this is also something that Mino touched upon. So I'll just quickly go through these slides. Transformation, digital transformation also was mentioned about how it's crucial in order to scale. You can't keep hiring a lot of people to manage your staff. So why not digitize it and automate a lot of those processes? And last, security and compliance. Especially the biggest issue that comes with digitization is how do you stay secure? How do you ensure that your documents are secured? And because it's very easy to plagiarize when you're in a digital format. And so that is also a very important pillar that we took into consideration when designing our solution. And this is about what we do as Adobe. So I'm going to be focusing more on Document Cloud, which is our effort to make sure to get rid of paper from the world, ensure that the Brazilian rainforest remains, and this, and better future for our kids. So that's the Document Cloud story. With Experience Cloud, we've been powering businesses online businesses to do a lot more, understand their customers better. And of course, with the Creative Cloud, we're ensuring that anyone and everyone with an idea can bring those ideas to life using our tools and applications. If I can just go next. So speaking about Document Cloud, so what we're doing is we're trying to reimagine the way you work with PDFs. We're trying to reimagine the way you collaborate, as Mino mentioned. How can we make sure that when your employees are working, they have a seamless experience? Because as I showed you earlier in the previous slide, we have been, if I can go back. No, I can't go back. OK. But in the previous slide with the Experience Cloud, what we've been doing is telling our businesses, because if you're a brand today, the only way you compete is the way the kind of experience you provide your customer, right? And that is where we come in, and we've been helping many brands make an exceptional experience. But now what we're doing is we're focusing inward, because there are customers in an organization as well. Your employees are your customers. So how do you make their experience a lot more better? And the reason why this is so important is, especially now, because with digitization, there's just an overwhelming amount of work. How can we use natural language processing to make sure that, hey, what if you could ask a question? Can you find a document that has so-and-so name in my repository? And then AI could go and find it for you. So we're exploring those avenues to make sure it's easy to retrieve document and secure them. Besides that, delighting employees also drives a lot of business outcomes. Provide an end-to-end experience. We also spoke about automation, compliance. One of the ways in which we are staying compliant in India in particular is we've ensured that for our signing solution, we've collaborated with UIDAI to offer Aadhaar-based authentication, so that when your candidate is receiving their offer letter or their onboarding document digitally, they have a way to sign and stay compliant and stay secure as well. If you've read the book, The Power of Moments by Chip and Dan Heath, they talk about, just an abstraction, but they talk about how first impressions matter. They talk about how defining moments can stand apart and how peak moments transcend time. And if you look at the overall tenure of any employee, there are certain moments in the employee's journey which can be delightful, which can be something that they remember your brand with. One of the things our CEO mentioned during an all-hands is, when everybody's working remote, how do you build culture? Right? And that's where all of these things make a huge difference. So regardless of what use case you have, we can make that experience delightful for your employees, so that they can transact from anywhere, any device that they want. So whether it's hiring or onboarding new employees with digital workflows, or providing a great experience to your internal HR staff in order to collaborate with each other and share documents and ensure that it's secure. And of course, compliance is very important. And obviously, you'll notice down here, we've got ready-made integrations with the top HRMSs that are out there. So you just have to plug and play in order to get our solution working. So there's no implementation effort also. So here are some use cases. Unfortunately, we're running a little low on time, but feel free to come down to our stall to learn more about how we've been helping various organizations transform the way that they interact with their employees. And a good example that I'd like to highlight here is DHL. So DHL came to us and said, our onboarding process takes way too long. I don't know how many of you would have the same problem. But after implementing, after implementing our Adobe Sign solution in Document Cloud, they reduced the onboarding time by more than 80%, and they went from 3 weeks down to 4 hours. So this is all about, again, coming back to Chip and Dan Heath's book, it's all about providing a great experience in order to make sure it's delightful and it's remembered. And so this was the tech stack that was used by DHL in order to achieve that. And then finally, just to bring it all together, you can provide it branded experiences. There's automation so that your staff can focus on more relevant work, more meaningful work, rather than calling up the candidate to find out if they've entered their parents' birth date correctly or something, right? Embedded workflows, like I said, we've got integration with all the systems there, especially with Microsoft. We've got a great partnership with Microsoft. A little side note here, our CEO, Shantanu Narayan, and Microsoft CEO, Satya Nadella, apparently went to the same school, Hyderabad Public School. Who would have thought? And then finally, value. One thing that, when talking to HR teams, one thing that I find very difficult is many HR teams come and say, how do we show the ROI here with all of this? And that's when we can get our value engineering team to work with you and figure out that ROI so that you can make a case for it internally as well. On that note, I think I'm already getting enough warnings that we're over time. But just the last slide here, I promise. We also talked about learning as well. Making learning is very important, especially in today's day and age when things are changing so quickly. We've also got a learning management platform, which again focuses on providing a great experience. It's like Netflix for learning. They have the freedom to work on any device and learn something. So that was all that I wanted to share. I wish we could take questions, but we've already run out of time. If you have any questions, please meet us at our booth. And thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.